So I tried to get my evil twin to give this good news story, but apparently he didn't think it was good enough news to talk about it. And it's pretty small anyways. So Microsoft has updated the Xbox app in the Windows 10 and allowed the introduction of multiple new features. But the biggest one would be the ability to stream games from the user's Xbox One at 1080p at 60 frames a second. Of course, there are more features, but that's the largest one. So, in order to access this high quality streaming option, you need to go into your settings under the game streaming and set the video encoding to very high. Now, the problem is that you need to make sure you have enough in-home bandwidth to do this before attempting this, because the video quality will diminish, the encoding and artifacts will show up very badly. So you can also enable and disable notifications when you're invited by a party member in multiplayer games, and the ability to compare achievements with friends, updates, recently played games, things like that. But I wanted to just talk about streaming to your computer from your Xbox One. Okay, so if you're trying to get this 1080p at 60 frames a second, I need to dispel whatever you're thinking right now. Look, I understand if you're uneducated about frames per second and how things work, okay? If you're a kid and you don't know anything about this, you just know that 60 frames a second is good. Games that aren't naturally ran in 60 frames a second will not run in 60 frames a second. So this is how it works, and this is the easiest way to understand. If the source material isn't what it is, the source material cannot magically become something else, okay? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a 30 frames a second game to run at 60 frames a second. But the problem is it never ran at 60 frames a second to begin with, not on that platform at least. It probably did on the PC when they were developing it. So that's what I wanted to say before people started tripping out and saying, oh, it's not working, it's not running at 60 frames, or it's synthetically running at 60 frames a second. And yes, it doesn't look that good when you run a 30 frames a second game at 60 frames a second and it's not doing anything. It's not natural. So it's not good by that standard. And again, for games that can't run at 1080p, I'm looking at some older games that are probably going to be emulated on the 360 emulator, okay? You can't run them at 1080p when they run at 720p naturally. You can upscale it, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be a one-to-one. So just remember that when you're doing this. Now, to run games at 1080p, 60 frames a second, you need to do a bandwidth calculation. Now, of course, that's probably too much work for anyone who just wants to play an Xbox game on their computer. So here's the easiest thing I can tell you to do. Get a wired connection, okay? If you have a PC in a room, make it a wired connection. And if you have your Xbox One, make it a wired connection. And if you say to me, well, Proto, I just don't have the room, okay? My router's across the room and I just don't have the cable cord, go to eBay. Get yourself some Cat 45, RJ7, RJ11, whatever Ethernet type of cord you need. I'm probably forgetting the names. Anyways, just Google Ethernet cord on eBay. Google the length that you need. Make sure to measure it. Don't estimate. Just measure how much Ethernet cord you need. And Google it on eBay, and the odds are something like it will probably pop up. There are like 50-foot cords out there, 100-foot cords, 200-foot cords. I have currently a 100-foot cord, and it cost me $20 to purchase, and I've been using it for 6 years now, and it works just fine. So I assure you they exist, but get a wired connection. Okay, if you cannot do that, absolutely cannot do that, then you probably won't be able to enjoy this, because a wireless connection is not a very stable or good connection to use. So I'm just throwing that news out for you, ladies and gentlemen, just giving you the information that you might want or need to get your streaming settings optimized, and just to know that this actually exists. So leave your comments in the section below on what's happened to you if you have tried to do this, or you have done this in the past already. And I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. Good gaming, and God bless. And now, the important decision of joining the Maverick Rebellion. We are a tight group of individuals who rebel against stereotypes and greater evils that are commonly accepted. ISPs, children being conned out of games, sexism in video games. Enough is enough, and the Mavericks have had it. If you choose to subscribe, or stay subscribed, you are joining the fight against injustice by watching my numerous video topics, from net neutrality to publishers covering up botched releases. The Mavericks are always informed on the issues plaguing your gaming experience today. So don't be left out in the cold, and don't let those people keep you down. Join the Maverick Rebellion today and become a member of the community that will listen and engage with you. What are you waiting for? Just click subscribe and you'll be in good company. Mavericks unite!